Hello, Alchemist. What truth did you see before anyone else did? This is your doorway to validation. If you've already chosen your doorway, check out the timestamps below. If not, I'm going to give you a closer look now. Doorway number 1. Doorway number 2. Doorway number 3. Choose your doorway, Alchemist, and let the great work begin. Welcome, Alchemist, to your initiation through doorway number 1. What truth did you see before anyone else did? Let's find out. You chose resilience, rise above tribulations. I feel like you're the kind of person who can see things way ahead of time. So you're probably very intuitive. And it wouldn't surprise me if you often found yourself warning people about things that were going to happen, telling people ahead of time ways to prevent problems. You're very good at kind of knowing what's going to happen before it happens, but you've had to show a ton of resilience and rising above these tribulations, like the card says, for a very specific reason. And that is because other people don't necessarily listen to you or believe you, right? So you give great advice, but people don't necessarily listen to you and they go their own way. And this can cause so much pain for you because you don't want to see people suffer. You don't want to see people losing important things to them or missing great opportunities that you know that they could succeed at. And you have even in the past probably tried to help them a lot. And I'm feeling like you've gotten to a place where you're starting to learn your boundaries better. And you are so resilient because this has happened to you so many times. Let's take a look at your shadow today. Oh, look at that. This card has been coming up so much. I feel like in the collective, there's definitely a feeling of shadow work, of unveiling the subconscious. And in the spread, talking about what did you see ahead of time, I think that you have already started this journey into cultural programming, into your inner self in such a way that you're ahead of the curve. And so when you talk about it with other people, they just don't get it. Most people, they don't want to go deep. They're really scared of what they'll find there. But the truth is what you find there is illusions and stuff that you invested in. And once you're able to let those go, you can move into truth and you can move into alignment with your timeline. And your resilience, your clarity threatens other people's sense of security, not because you try to force lessons on them, but because you doing this work in yourself shows them where they're not doing that work, right? Glimpse. I've also been getting this card a lot. I'd say this is be true to yourself and your vision. It's so hard because what happens is you're in this resilience energy, which is great, but you want to rise above, rise above just being resilient. You want to be in a state where that you're with the flow in such a way that resilience almost becomes a non-issue because you're just naturally in that state, right? You don't let it bother you. You don't let other people, you don't take responsibility for other people's shadow work, claiming this kind of star peaceful energy, a shooting star, wishes fulfilled. You have a glimpse into the future. You have a little bit of psychic energy or very intuitive energy. And with that comes what feels like a lot of responsibility, right? It feels like you need to be constantly warning people and helping people. But there's a couple of things. Jung, it's attributed to Jung, says that don't help somebody who didn't ask for help or who refuses the help you offer, because some people want to drown. Ooh, that hurts, doesn't it? Some people might even say they want your help, but when it comes down to it, they would much rather stay in the comfort of their own illusions. And that's not your fault. That's not your responsibility. And that is what happens with resilient people who have gone through a lot of the work. And when this happens, people who get a glimpse of this energy from you, like, can get very, very upset or aloof because they don't want to believe that what you say, if it's not all rainbows and butterflies for their life, might be true. So what I just say is, don't put your, like, you can offer help, but if they're showing in words and actions that they're not taking it, believe them, because it's not really your responsibility. If you want to try and help, make sure that there's receptiveness there and that they're actually going to do the work, because it's not your job to do the work. If you have insight, you can try to warn people or tell people, but I've seen it in my own life before where I'll see something coming a million miles away and I'll try to warn someone and they'll just brush me off, or they'll say, yeah, I'll work on it, but then they ignore it. And then it comes to pass later, and a lot of times they'll come back and say, oh, you're right, if it was that kind of lessons. But a lot of times they'll just slink off into the distance. And obviously I don't say anything or hold it over them or anything, but it's sad to see so much unnecessary suffering. But at the same time, everyone rises to the level of their own abilities. So they might not have the capacity for where you are, because you've had to become so resilient. You've gone through so many trials and tribulations. You had to do this work. So their glimpse of that is like saying, okay, well, you're at this level in your healing and they're at this level in their healing. And so neither level is wrong. It's just that you can't necessarily expect someone at that level of healing to understand conceptually the stuff that's at your level of healing. And like I said, there's no above and below in the sense of like better or worse. It just has to do with where you started, how much you work on it, and where you're going. Okay. I'm seeing a sense of you've given in the past, through this understanding of future events and seeing the causation of things and having very good intuition, you have done your best to try and help transform other people's lives. And in a lot of ways, you felt like you've been very foolish in that way, because when you've done that, a lot of times it's just been kind of thrown back in your face, right? You wanted this kind of playful, fun, you're not throwing it in their face like with attitude. You're trying to be gentle. You're trying to be sweet. You're trying to make sure that they understand that you're on their side. And when it's kind of thrown back in your face like that, you can feel very foolish. You can feel very naive. But honestly, your intuition is not naive. It is just, it's something you need to trust more. And that's what this soul work has been giving you. You've got an opportunity now to light the fire in your own heart instead of trying to spark it in other people so hard by trying to help them see what's coming. By sparking your own light more, you'll actually naturally, without having to verbally teach people, your very light and presence will teach them what they need. whether that's a lesson of them disappearing because they can't handle it and they've got to go spend years processing it. That's their journey. That's their problem, right? We all have such soft hearts, the empaths in this community, the empaths in this world, the ones that are drawn to these kinds of readings. We have such big hearts for love and compassion. But you cannot walk someone else's road for them. And if they're dragging you down, you've got to let them go so that they can learn their own lessons. I can't tell you how many times in life I've seen people get into relationships and really change themselves so much to adapt around the other person that the other person, the one that is demanding you to walk on eggshells around them, becomes more and more, becomes more and more extreme in their, maybe their emotional immaturity, or they're putting their head in the sand about their own issues. The House of Cards is coming down. You can't maintain your own work and the level that Spirit is trying to draw you, the depth that Spirit is trying to draw you, and trying to drag people along with you who aren't ready for the message, right? They've got to get there on their own. You know, I love this because this is a two of wands here, but I get from it like love yourself. These two cards are very, focus on yourself, love yourself. I feel like there's a cultural programming from birth that it's selfish to love yourself, that if you focus on yourself, you're greedy. But honestly, through that self-love, that is the only way that you can actually truly shine and give love to other people without you just emptying your bucket into other people. So this is what I have for you today, Alchemist. So please continue the great work and comment below if this resonated for you. I would love to hear from you, and I will see you next time. Hello, Alchemist, and welcome to your initiation through doorway number 2. What truth did you see before anyone else did? Let's take a look. You chose sensuality. Express your sensuality. And a lot of people, see sensuality as being kind of a intimate thing, but that's not necessarily true. I feel like maybe you've lived in your head a long time in your life, and it kind of occurred to you recently or in the last 6 months or year, and maybe even in a very subtle way, that grounding yourself in your body, basically sensuality, working with your senses, grounding yourself in your human body can actually increase your connection to spirit. And we live in a world where people are so consumed by the mental. So that would be the air element, east. People use information as tools to manipulate, to control. And I think that you have tried to warn other people or tell other people gently that, letting themselves be consumed by all the ideas floating around out there. And a lot of them are not even based in reality at all. And getting kind of rejected or treated weirdly because you had that sense and other people didn't get it. Let's see what the shadow is holding in us today. Yes. This brings a profound sense of loneliness because once you started embracing, letting go of overthinking as much, at least that's where you're headed or that's what you understand. It takes a while, a lot of times, between understanding and implementation, but you understand this now, that body, mind, and spirit on this plane are so interconnected. And so you have to understand balance. And it can leave you feeling really lonely because even if you're really close to people, you don't always feel like they understand completely how to get out of their heads. And it makes you feel like you're in the spotlight because you're different, or that your voice has been taken because people shut it down when you try to express this deeper idea of how to incorporate your senses into your lived experience or your spiritual experience in a way that's not just shallow. Because lots of people have sensuality in the most, shallow sense, whether that be intimately. There's a lot of people out there who are just lustful. And so they think that they're deeply sensual. But sensuality is so much more than that. And that's something you either understand now or you're starting to get a glimpse of. And understanding that fully actually makes you feel lonely because almost no one else gets it. Echo. Okay, this is great. So, with the moon being so big here, and the echo, and the butterflies, and the bunny, so the moon is about your shadow, the hidden things, butterflies with metamorphosis. We have this beautiful night with stars. And so this feeling is an echo because you're still in this transmutation phase of going from living the way other people lived to understanding the deeper depth, right? And so when that happens, there are going to be old echoes from your subconscious that this transformation is wrong, or that it's going to make you a pariah, or it's going to make you not fit in, or it's going to make you lose friends. But the truth is if you lose friends over being your authentic self, then that means you were faking it to keep friends before. Now that's kind of a harsh truth, and I hope I try to be compassionate but honest. So are there places in your life, and once again, this reading is about the truth you saw before other people. You already know this if it's the truth, right? You already know this. You just might not want to admit it to yourself. But remember that if you're holding tight onto things that are not meant for you anymore, your arms will be closed to the things that are meant for you. The right people at the right frequency will align with you because you're raising your frequency. This came up in pile 1. So if you felt compelled about that pile, you might want to go check out that doorway as well. You are feeling very protective of yourself, especially with this, and your sensuality in all the senses. You feel like nobody can reach the depth that you have felt. And every time you've tried to reach out with that level of depth, you've been shut down, or maybe somebody disappeared because they were too scared, or they thought it meant something maybe that it didn't mean. Yeah. You're feeling you feel like when you put yourself out there and make yourself vulnerable, you're getting sucked dry, if that makes sense. So you've got to find a way to express this stuff, but only you have to be authentically yourself without letting other people's opinions drain you. And that might mean building up the inner strength that you already have. You just have to acknowledge it, that you can be yourself and not internalize other people's opinions if they aren't agreeing, if they lash out, and remembering that that's their issue, if they feel like that they have the right to lash out and control other people for their authenticity. Yeah, so look at this, like both of these, like getting exploited, getting drained. Yeah, and so that's the other thing. If your light is out there and there are people who are attracted to it to drain you, and look, see, your light is bright, but people are exploiting it. So you see the truth about how to live a sensual, bright, vibrant lifestyle. You just haven't quite figured out how to keep your autonomy and your energy to yourself and not let other people either drain it from you or make you feel like it's wrong because they haven't achieved it yet. So therefore they're going to it's foreign to them. It's strange to them. Yeah, look, this is like a mosquito. You're definitely getting drained. And even if you don't know who it is or how, remember there can be energetic ties from the past that could still be attached to you. I recommend doing this little daily thing. I call it calling my energy back. And what I do is I picture myself in a glowing halo of golden light with strings of golden light stretching out. And these strings are connecting to past, present, and future situations, people, connections, anything. And I picture that the golden strings linking me to my highest timeline grow brighter and stronger. And the ones linking me to things associated with the lower vibration, lower timeline, I see them dissolve. And I do this every single day. And that helps remove some of the energetic draining that might be going on. You're getting just so much imagery of these insects, these bugs, really. But I feel like with this card, the transmutation of this draining energy into understanding. You know, dragonflies are so powerful. They're the bridge between air and water. They're born in the water and then they live their life in the air. And so that means a balancing of mind and emotion. And see how she's studying it? She is studying how to balance mind and emotion. And when you can see ahead of things in the way other people's cannot in the way other people cannot see it, you almost feel like, yeah, you have to protect yourself because these other people don't understand and they lash out of ignorance. And that's where discernment, Eight of Swords, yes, discernment on what to share and what to hold in. Holding it in does not mean you are hiding parts of yourself. It just means, oh, that particular person isn't worthy of what I offer. And you can offer something once and then say, nope, that person, they aren't worthy of it. And then you can just gray wall them, or you can just keep it super casual because clearly they don't deserve it if you have to be in interaction with them at all. Wow. Well, it looks to me like you're in a very transitional state, Alchemist, and you are transmuting this. So I'm very proud of all the work you're doing. Thank you for being here, and I will see you next time. Please keep continuing the great work. Welcome, Alchemist, to your initiation through doorway number 3. What truth did you see before anyone else did? Start again. I gotta have my timer. Welcome, Alchemist, to your initiation through doorway number 3. What truth did you see before anyone else did? You chose legends. Learn from those who inspire you. You've got a deep soul for inspiration. It wouldn't surprise me if you really enjoyed inspirational quotes or movies or memes or inspirational shorts, things like that. things that really uplift your spirit. And in this world, people can a lot of times make you feel like that's cheesy or weird or melodramatic. But, the alternative is how it used to be, which is where people were just really mean and sarcastic all the time. I mean, I'll take some lovey-dovey stuff over the kind of harsh world I grew up in, right? And you see that you can learn from the past. So it says, learn from those who inspire you, legends. So this means you see the archetypal energy beneath all of that, all of how people are acting, what they're doing. And when you try to explain that to people, I feel like you get a lot of pushback. Like, oh, it's the future. I'm just going to, you know, ignore the deeper things, ignore the archetypes, ignore the lessons, because it's easier just to distract ourselves. And I'm not judging anybody because we all need those moments. Our world is built to keep us as distracted as possible. And it's built to keep us run down so that we look to those distractions in order to get to feel better, because they just make us feel really bad, so that we're forced to use distractions to make us feel better. But you have started to understand that there are lessons from the past that need to be brought back in order to live a full life. Now, this could have to do with maybe, spending more time out in nature. It could have to do with the old wives' tales that maybe, you know, signal something in you about being connected to the past, or even just sitting around a bonfire and you feel connected to your ancestors. But you're being called to learn from that, whether that is learn from their mistakes, because there's a lot of things in the past that definitely aren't as good as now, or is it learning the wisdom from that? And remember, in mysticism, in alchemy, so much of it is about taking what works and letting go of what doesn't. You don't have to stick to a single anything. So what's moving through your shadow? Yeah, I feel like you are in an internal battle with the way the world wants things to be and the true treasure of the past. And the truth is that you're balancing that. And that makes other people uncomfortable, because most people are either so enmeshed in the present or so obsessed with the past. Like people who have made a certain aspect of the past into a fake nostalgic past and just cling to it. And you see the balance between the two. And by seeing that balance, it really causes conflict, because you're like, I want to re-embrace some of the traditional things of my life and path, but I also want to, add new things to it. So like, for example, in myself, I am so into nature, spirituality, obviously scrying, tarot, things like that. But at the same time, I love techno mysticism, the idea that technology can be used to enhance our spiritual lives, not to replace this grounded earth energy, but rather technology as a useful tool and extension of our spiritual practice, right? And you are starting to see this balance, or you've already embraced it, and other people, they just don't get it. And that's not your fault, right? Fruit of knowledge. Yeah, you can know things, and other people, instead of seeing the fruit that you are bearing, the fruit of knowledge, all they see is a snake in the grass. And that's not your fault. That just means that they haven't done the work yet in that particular area. And that's okay. We're all at different stages. There's none better than another. But, well, I would say there's one. There's one stage that's better than another, and that's working on it. The stagnation, when people just literally let their demons run amok without any thought of how it affects other people. And you see that as well. And you can see that coming from a million miles away, because your past has informed you. You've learned a lot from your past about how this this kind of energy plays out, like the black and white energy, the all or nothing mindset that's really prominent. Either it's all knowledge or it's all snake. Either it's all tradition or it's all future. It's either all money or all spirituality. You know, the world is shades of gray. The world is a spectrum. People who lock into that mindset are going to treat you, a person who has transcended that, like there's something wrong. But that's just because of their ignorance. And that's not really something you have to engage in. This came up in doorway 2, so I would encourage you to look at that doorway if it resonated. You feel like you've had to close off this knowledge. And this knowledge, I feel like with Legends card, it a lot of it was directly spirit taught, right? So you might have gone out and done research and it informed it, but there's so much of it that was directly spirit taught. And it is okay for you to guard that knowledge and only give it to people who have shown that they're willing and ready. So there's this saying that says, the mystic swims in the same waters the psychotic drowns in. And what that means is that if they're not ready for your level of healing information, your level of transcendence, and you try to share it with them, they're not going to get it. And it could be detrimental. And that's why it's so important to understand that everyone's path is their own, and you can offer guidance. But if they say no, whether through their actions or their words or whatever, you got to just let go freely. You can't save people from themselves, right? You can get them help when you need to and things like that, but don't sacrifice yourself for that. Yeah, in this sense, you feel like you had to wear a mask, a mask between the past and the future. But you can do both. You can be both yourself and a person who reveres the past and is modern minded and uses technology and has a heart of compassion and holds good boundaries. You don't have to be one or the other of anything. And I am tired of the world telling people that that's the way it has to be. You are so larger than life. You are full of fire. Don't let these little people who are too scared of their own shadow, don't let them make you feel bad. It's sort of like, you know, maybe you're the empress up in a castle and one mean little person is throwing little rocks at the bottom, but you're getting super upset about it, right? You're so above that. You don't need to get upset about it. And I think that that just comes with a shift in your perspective and understanding, like, so many people are running around with child minds and child emotions, full grown adults who just have not done the work to heal, because a lot of times we are taught that it's almost like we're treated like children until we turn 18, and then we're just supposed to know what happens as an adult. But if no one taught you along the way, and so many people are in that boat, then you just think that that's the normal emotional state to have. So then you meet all these people who have Peter Pan syndrome or puer turnus, the idea of the eternal child, but in the negative archetype way, right? Not the playful, whimsical way. And it's not their fault that that happened, but it is everyone's individual responsibility as adults to work through that on their own. So do not take on the responsibility of somebody else's work. Oh my gosh, this is a perfect card for what I just said. If you consume other people's problems, you're going to consume their negative energy, and it's going to bring down your whole vibration. Don't do that. You deserve better than that. And, your brightness as your authentic self, as this powerful being who does not back down, or like there's a quiet presence, right? But that doesn't mean you're backing down. That quiet presence means you're above it. And as this radiant being, you do not want to consume things, energy or otherwise, that lower your vibration, because other people will be happy to suck you dry. And at the end of the day, your vibration will be lower. Theirs might have raised a little bit, but because they didn't do the work, your high vibration energy just passes through them. So they don't even get a real benefit from it in the long term either. That's why they can walk with you side by side, growing their own with your guidance if they are active in it. But that's it. Yes, stopping this will bring you into such great energy. It's not your job to fix people. It's not your job to save people. It's your job to be a loving, playful presence in the world. And you will naturally do that to the right people will naturally respond to that and grow from that. Yeah, you're on this cusp of understanding that by having these intuitive truths, yeah, by having these intuitive truths, you can hold what's most important to you close and share it only with the people who deserve it. And other than that, your light just will spill over, right? So hold tight to your inner child, your sense of fun, your sense of joy. Don't let that get drained because somebody else has a sob story, right? You can have compassion and love and even help guide people who are willing to get help and be helped, but do it without draining yourself. You, Alchemist, you've got so much going for you. I'm so proud of the work you've done. Keep your boundaries strong. That knowledge will be revealed to the people who deserve to hear it. And keep a good balance of past, present, and future. All right, keep up the great work. I'll see you next time. And please comment below if this resonated for you.